Welcome to the Fleet, Louis John, our new signing from Sutton United. And those with longer memories might recall two appearances that you made here on loan in 2016. It was quite short and sweet, but do you remember much about the club from the time?
Yeah, I remember. I remember coming in back then. I was a younger player at that point. It was quite early on in my career, and from what I gathered and from what I took from from my time previously here was that the club were going places and they wanted to get further up the football league, and which they've managed to get into the National League, and since that time. So yeah, I enjoyed my time. It was a short time here, but I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, and going a little further back, you were part of that Sutton side that beat us 2-0 and overhauled us in that sort of epic 2015-16 season. Do you remember much about that? I mean, Sutton went on a fantastic run and eventually took the title ahead of the Fleet.
Yeah, I remember it quite clearly. To be fair, I remember Ebbsfleet getting off to a great start that season. They was probably leading the way for first half of the season, and then I think from Christmas up until the end of the season, I think Sutton managed to go on a 26-27 game unbeaten run, and then there was a defining game at the end of the season between the two teams, and that sort of decided who won the league. And yeah, I remember it quite well. It was obviously a good day for me at the time, getting promoted, etc. But yeah, I remember it well.
And as well as sort of Sutton's rise up the table, as well as the South title, you've won the National League title as well with Sutton. So your career has kind of mirrored Sutton's rise up the divisions, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was at Sutton for a long time. I left and come back, and I was there for nine seasons in total, and we achieved a lot over that period of time. Conference South winners, National League winners, Wembley Cup final. So it was a good time there. But I feel like now's probably the best time for me to have a fresh start, and hopefully we can achieve some similar things here.
Yeah, and as a player, how did you find that? Because you had to go from National League South to National League to League Two, and you've sort of bridged that gap quite easily. But it's quite a gap, isn't it? Those levels.
I think for me personally, I mean, it's different for every player. But for me personally, I'd played a lot of games at a young age, so adapting physically wasn't an issue for me in that regards. But I think it was just the concentration and the mental side of the game, and just bettering myself in all aspects in terms of like clearances and headers and stuff like that. Just some technical stuff that I maybe needed to work on earlier on in my career. I've managed to progress and get better throughout my time at Sutton, and I couldn't thank them enough for the time I spent with them. But yeah, it was a step up from the South to the National League, and then obviously getting promoted from the National League to League Two. So it was a jump, but I think as you progress in your career, you become a bit more experienced and you know how to deal with certain situations. So yeah, that was.
I mean, you've been at Sutton pretty much since you were a teenager, bar a few loan spells and the year you spent at Cambridge. Is now the time was right to leave and get that fresh challenge away from Gander Green?
Yeah, of course. Like my time at Sutton was a great time. 9 years, I think just under 300 games there. So I owe a lot to them for my career so far. But I feel like all things come to an end at some point, and all good things come to an end at some point. And I feel like now is probably the best time for me to move on from there, and hopefully I can achieve some more accolades in my career at Ebbsfleet.
Yeah, and you won we mentioned of course that you won the National League title with Sutton in 2020, but I think the year before Sutton finished sort of 15th and were battling relegation for a little part of that. Do you see the parallels coming into the Fleet, us having survived relegation and wanting to progress in the similar way?
That season beforehand, I think, was the season that got stopped from COVID. I'd come back from Cambridge in the November, and the team was struggling at the time, and we managed to go on a crazy run up until the season got finished. And I think if the season hadn't have been stopped when it did, I think we maybe could have progressed further up the league that season. But we managed to keep the squad together, and we managed to achieve a bigger feat the season after winning the league. It is a similar situation, I guess. I mean, obviously, Danny, the manager, has taken over, and he's managed to help the club get out of the situation they was in last season, and I've only heard positive things about the atmosphere around the club and the team and obviously the manager. So I think as long as there's a good working environment and everyone's on the same page, I feel like there's no reason why we can't aim for the stars, and then hopefully we can be successful.
Yeah, and that late runner form that Sutton had, you mentioned, Ebbsfleet have obviously got that late runner form from last season going into this season, so that momentum is going to be key as well.
I think momentum is massive in football. I think once everyone knows each other's games, once everyone knows how to deal with certain situations, and the biggest thing is overcoming adversity, because adversity is it's going to happen at some point, and it's just the reaction, both individually and collectively as a team and a staff and a club. I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, and we've said how you're a versatile defender. You've played at right back, at centre back in your time. But what are your sort of the main attributes as a defender you'll be bringing to the fleet?
I played right back quite a few years back now, but mainly at centre half. I feel like I'm a leader. I feel like I can set an example from the back and hopefully help the younger players if they need the help. But yeah, main attributes are just keeping the ball out the back of the net. Hopefully I can do that. Aerially dominant, and I do like a diag.
And we've said about how you played against us a few times, so you know the club well. But do you know any of your new future teammates? Have you mainly played against them rather than with them?
No, I don't. I don't think there's anyone currently in the squad that I've shared a team with. So just from playing against, I've played against quite a few of them on a regular basis. I mean, some throughout the years we've come up against each other. So it should be I'm pleased to be joining the club and being part of the lads and getting stuck in.
Yeah, and finally, it's back to the National League for you after 3 years in League Two. Do you expect the division and the clubs to have got tougher in the time that you've been away?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the level now. I watched all the playoffs in the National League playoffs and the final, and there's not a massive difference between the National League and League Two in terms of quality. I think it just comes down to defining moments, i.e. goal scorers and maybe penalty saves and stuff like that. So I think that's the biggest factor for me, is just the competitiveness of winning. I think that it doesn't matter what level you play at, as long as you have got that competitive edge and you can try and do the best you can to help your teammates and help the rest of the team. Then
brilliant, thanks Louis. We'll be looking forward to seeing you in pre-season.